What is up, everybody? This is Lee with Untapped Potential. So I went ahead and threw back that other blue-black deck, you know, the one that takes 4 wins for 40 gold, and instead we got a win with a red-black or a red-green deck for 40 gold. Let's do that today. We'll also, we're going to do red-green, so that way we can try to capitalize on doubling up on the +1/+1 counters theme that we've got to accomplish, and I think we can knock both out at once. Haven't built the deck yet, so let's go ahead and do that real quick together, and then like usual, I will start overdubbing myself, and we'll go through a couple games. Deck wizard still, unfortunately. Sooner the better when they fix that. I mean it. Alright, well, we're off to a fantastic start here of not a lot of much going on. I'm going to go ahead and grab a copy of Nissa's Pilgrimage so we can hopefully ramp into some big stuff. Since this is the part where we're trying to find stuff, I'd say as a rule creatures are better than non-creatures here. Not sure I want 4 of them, but here we are. Meteorite also doubles as removal, we'll grab that. Finally, we'll grab Animus Awakening, and I guess I'll take the Moss that I don't want. Oh my god. Okay, now, well, if we're lands.deck, there's no reason we don't want Zendikar. And Kurd Chieftain was going to be an automatic 3 of anyway in this deck, so here I'm going to quietly agree with the AI. It makes me feel dirty, I know. Alright, Gaia's Revenge is another late game bruiser that the AI will have a hard time dealing with. I should drink more coffee before I start recording in the morning, guys. This isn't going well. Finally, a Bloodpyre Elemental, because removal is removal. So, this is the part where we now fill out the deck, which, oh god, I have no idea what we even have in this thing so far. A bunch of ramp spells, but nothing small, so we're going to go ahead and jam in a couple Hunt Beasts, and where are my 3-drops, game? Come on, I need some cheaper stuff here. Well, that's not going in. Guess I'll throw in the Avaricious Dragon we pulled yesterday, just to see what we can do with it. Bloodpyre Elementals, they are removal. Enthralling Victor, I guess? If I don't have an early game, maybe I can just steal theirs. Actually, didn't mean to choose that Infectious Bloodlust there. Let's throw it back. Juggernaut? At least this one won't tax my mana base so much. And, okay, Wild Size as a combat trick is okay. And while I'm not happy about it, I'm going to grab Perilous Mirror to shore up the early game. It's a good card. Another Wild Size, and there's Inferno Fist, but first I'm going to go ahead and grab Herald of the Pantheon. Just, again, we need 2-drops. We need an early game in case our opponent actually hits their land drops and goes aggro on us today. And we got a decent number of creatures, so I'm going to jam 3 Inferno Fists here, and let's see what this pile can do. So again, it's insisting on giving us Rogue's Passage and Foundry of the Consoles, but not Evolving Wilds in a deck that might actually want it. How odd. This portrait's actually fine, but let's give her more of a green background. That one will do nicely. And we'll call it the Horde's Thunder. Alright guys, oh god. Well, we'll see what happens. I'll see you in round 1.
Alright, we go ahead and jump into game 1 against the hard AI. We're not going to be able to get any +1/+1 counters out of this deck like I talked about in the first section. But we still have a solid red-green list, and hopefully, as long as our opponent isn't on the aggro plan, we should be in really good shape. Guess what, guys? Our opponent's on the aggro plan. There's Kytheon on turn 1, and we do not have an immediate response for that. We can play the Mirror on turn 2, or the Soldier of the Pantheon, but in the meantime, we can't answer Kytheon. He does 2 damage to us, and our opponent, in a curious play, plays Grasp of the Hieromancer on it in the second main phase, so he misses out on a point of damage, and unfortunately, he will now be able to start tapping down our defenders, meaning that Kytheon is free to continue to swing at us. And this is not good, basically. So we draw an answer here in the form of Inferno Fist, which we go ahead and slap on our Mirror, and since he's tapped down, we decide to get in for 3 damage of our own against our opponent. I decide to wait until the beginning of my opponent's turn to use my Inferno Fist on him in order to try to make sure he can't do anything else this turn. Alright guy, you about to move to combat? I'm gonna kill your Kytheon. For those of you playing at home, Kytheon has an ability where he can pay 3 mana to make himself indestructible. I forgot about that, so my opponent basically makes me waste my fist. But now he is tapped out, so if he blocks here, I'll be able to kill Kytheon. But he, of course, does not. I've gone ahead and played a Hunt Beast, which has hexproof, and here I draw Curd Chieftain. And I decide to go ahead and run it on out there. If he wants to play with big creatures, so can I. I don't attack this turn, as Kytheon will just chump block and be indestructible. Our opponent has an Evolving Wilds, which they crack here to go find themselves the Mountain. And they also play Centaurs, excuse me, they play Farrakhan's Disciple here. I decide that I'm having none of that, and I play Blood Pyre Elemental to blow it up. A 2-3 Death Touch is just not something I feel like dealing with today. I also go ahead and attack with the team here, so if our opponent wants to trade, they're welcome to. They don't. They keep Kytheon safe and sound and attack me for 3 more. I go to 12. The opponent doesn't have a lot going for him here. He plays another creature, a Renown, but it's only a 1-3 flyer. Not a lot he can do about that. I go ahead and just go to combat here with Wild Size in my hand. I expect him to block, and he does. And I go ahead and use the Wild Size here to push through as much damage as I can. That's not quite enough to finish the game, but it puts him down to 1, which means unless he's got something bonkers to block all my creatures next turn, we're going to get into win. Our opponent attacks with Kytheon here because he knows there's nothing he can do. So he hits me for some more damage, putting me down to 8, but he does not have enough blockers to keep me occupied, and I just decide to go ahead and, on principle, destroy his mountain. Create myself another forest, and then I attack with the team for lethal. Quick and dirty, game number 1. So we managed to survive the aggro anyway because other than his turn 1 play, he didn't really do anything, so we jump straight into round number 2 and hope this one is a little less aggressive? Maybe? So our opponent goes first once again because they usually do, and he keeps a full hand. We keep an expensive hand here for the most part, but it's got all our colors, and our opponent does not appear to be on an aggressive start, at least not on the 1-drop level of aggression. He does have a 2-drop, but it's only a throwing knife, which is only as good as the creature he can put it on. Oh, don't get me wrong, it's a great card, but it's a better card when there are, in fact, creatures on the board. We go ahead and play Herald of the Pantheon here in order to get a 2-drop out, so we can start bludgeoning down our opponent, and we play Gate Creeper Vine. I always want to call it Gatekeeper. Gate Creeper Vine and grab another one of our guild gates. Because once again, we have the mercy of being able to be on a slower start here, and having all the colors we need exactly as we need them is invaluable. So our opponent has played 2 non-basic lands in a row, this one being an Evolving Wilds, which he uses to go grab another Plains. We draw Wild Size here, which will let us do a lot of extra damage whenever we want to. But right now, we're content to just do 2, and in our second main phase, we run out the Juggernaut. Now, we could start playing Avaricious Dragon whenever we want to, but we want to make sure we do that once our hand is mostly empty in order to not have to discard a bunch of cards. We want to use them. We want to get as much value as possible out of our creatures. I think about playing lands, decide to hold off till after combat, and go ahead and swing. Our opponent tries to trade their creature for our Juggernaut, but Wild Size steps in to guarantee that we get in for a lot of damage and get to keep our creature. We run out of Perilous Mirror here as well, as we're trying to dump our hand in order to capitalize on Avaricious Dragon. Our opponent plays Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh, and equips her with the throwing knife. But you can probably imagine where this is going. I've got Inferno Fist, and I'm not afraid to use it. So I put it on the mirror here, that was a rhyme, and I go ahead and declare attacks with everybody. And then, as soon as I am able, I go ahead and sacrifice my Inferno Fist to destroy Chandra. That's just not something I feel like dealing with. Again, we're just shy of lethal, so we do a damage to our opponent. We play Nissa's Pilgrimage to go ahead and grab ourselves a bunch of lands, one of which enters the battlefield, and our opponent plays Avaricious Dragon. And here's why you don't play it early, because as he ends his turn, 1, 2, 3, 4 awesome cards go to the graveyard. Well, you know what? 2 can play the Avaricious Dragon game, son. I go ahead and play Enthralling Victor here, not to steal anything, but just to get him on the field. And then I play the dragon of my own, and I get no value out of him because this game is already over. He blocks, loses his creature in the game, and we win and get our gold. Good times are had by all. Alright guys, let's head to the shop and get our pack for today. Will it compare well to yesterday's pull of a mythic? Let's find out now. Oh, it's certainly not a bad one. Let's go through them one by one. Knight of the Pilgrim's Road is a solid renown creature, good in the decks that want it. Fairly aggressive beater with decent stats for his cost. Not a lot to say there, but it's quite good. Claustrophobia is a controlled deck's dream. Remember all those dehydrates you saw in my base deck? Yeah, take those, throw them aside, and replace them with Claustrophobia. It's that much better. Guardian Automaton, I think I discussed this one recently. 4 for a 3/3 isn't great, but you know, whenever it dies you gain 3 life, so you get a little bit of extra value out of it. It's fine. It's not great, but it's fine. Consecrated by Blood I'm not so up on, just because +2/+2 and flying is good. The ability to sacrifice other creatures to regenerate yourself is also fine. You won't want to do that often, but it's kind of nice to have it there. But the 4 mana I have to invest for that, I'm just not quite sure it gets there, folks. Knightly Valor, on the other hand, I'm a lot more warm on. +2/+2 in Vigilance is good, but the fact that it also puts a 2/2 token onto the battlefield that will stay around even if the Valor gets destroyed somehow adds a lot more value to it for me. I'm a lot warmer on this card. And finally, our rare, Languish. Yeah, go ahead and read that. All creatures get -4/-4 till end of turn. You should read that as small creatures are destroyed, big creatures can't do anything, better after combat when you get some damage on their creatures to make sure you kill them all. This deck is good. This is good in control. It's great anti-aggro. This is a card you will see a lot of, and I'm really happy to have pulled a copy. Well, guys, that wraps it up for today. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you all for tuning in. We're closing in on 50 subscribers, which is really exciting. I appreciate everybody who's hung around so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes next. This is Lee with Untapped Potential. Thanks for watching.